business is a pledge of allegiance. We have our teachers over here, like namely my sister. So lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizens' comments.
I can get up and speak.
Just your name and address,
Yes,
please.
for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Kolazajak, and I have a single mother of triplets who attend Turtle Lot and Ellis Tech. Nicholas and Stephanie attend Turtle Lot, and Jonathan attends Ellis Tech. The reason I'm here tonight is to discuss graduation. I've heard two things. I've heard June 12th is the date and cannot be changed. I've also heard that June 12th is tentative. Ellis Tech has set their date for June 12th also. I reached out to Ellis Tech, I reached out to the superintendent, and the superintendent replied, unfortunately, the event is already booked and connected to a post-graduation party at the sub-base that evening, so they are binded by that and cannot change it. I'm hoping that being here tonight, we can come upon some kind of agreement to change the date from June 12th to another day so I can attend both graduations. I cannot see myself missing one of the graduations or choosing to go to one and not the other. So I hope you'll consider my plea, and I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. It's on the agenda? Oh, it's on the agenda, so we'll talk about it in just a little bit, yes?
Linda Journal-Lovich, 7 Dennis Drive. My grandson is graduating that day also at Ellis, and I'm supposed to be here for the graduation, so it would be a problem also, and I'm sure not only for her and myself, but for others.
Okay.
I'll tell you why we came to that decision when we get to it.
Okay. Right. Other citizens' comments? Okay, there's an opportunity a little bit later. Committee updates, we've had no subcommittee, anything. Alumni?
The only thing we did is we reconciled the basketball event that we had at PSA, and thank you to Superintendent for the custodial, trying to think of the right word, and Mr. Birch.
Coverage and Mr.
Thank
Birch.
you, yes. We were able to profit, I think, about $720, which goes into the scholarship fund, which we give back to the students, or elected students, awarded students, sorry. We're working on, obviously, a busy homecoming weekend. We're still trying to, we're going to do the alumni games, we're going to have the concert, we'll have the career day, the cow flop, and the road race, as well as we're trying. It's been 9 years since we had an alumni reunion, so we're trying to do that right now, but if we plan that, that's going to be for that Friday night, which means it's going to be 3 days of chaotic planning, so we may move that, so we'll see how things go. That's it.
Before we start the educational update, I just want to make a comment about the play we had this past weekend. I was so impressed, and Halliday, I would love to be on the stage, but I could never do it. I would love to be on the stage and sing, but I could never, ever do that. I'm so proud of all of you, and you worked so hard. How did you think it went?
I think it went phenomenal. I mean, it's their first play in a very long time. We all put our hard work into it, and I'm really glad at how it turned out.
Yeah, you did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bill, I would also like to add to that. I thought I was so impressed with how many alum came out, staff alum, school alum. It was really just a beautiful effort to be part of. I was really impressed. And my mom, who worked here 25 years, she saw so many people she hasn't seen in a long time. It was a great job, and everybody did such a great job. I remember being in one of the first ones Mary Fisher did in 1967. She did a Mother Goose one with all the nursery rhymes, and I was a blackbird in a pie. I still remember that, but it was good to see her son there. That he came up to support it. So, and you guys did a fantastic job.
Okay, let's move on to educational update. Emily, you're up.
Just me today.
Just you.
So I'm gonna pass these ones out first, just so you guys can. I think Cole was supposed to. Yeah, he wanted to tell you
Did
guys
such
about
a
the
great
plan.
job too.
Oh, yeah, too
Promise
bad he's
me
not
he
here,
was
because he
gonna
was.
I know, I'm afraid he got like stuck at the door, so I told him I was like.
At the door.
Well, yeah, no one's
He
thinking.
made quite a lot.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It was good.
Oh, look, and who's student of the month?
Hey.
Perfect timing.
Alright, so I'm gonna call Hallie up.
She was wonderful.
Alright, so each month, Turtle Rock Memorial High School Student Scholarship Program recognizes a student who is demonstrating outstanding achievement, character, leadership, attitude, and their contributions to the school. The Martin Student Scholarship honoree is senior Holiday Blood, Hallie, who was nominated by her classmate Laura Fournier. In Hallie's nomination, Laura states, "She has always had a smile on her face and she is extremely nice to everyone." Fellow senior Amanda Bogusowski adds, "What I love about Hallie is that she is not afraid to be herself and she generally cares about others." Hallie's friend, Kate Heffernan, also adds, "Hallie is there to provide unconditional support no matter the circumstances." Hallie actively participates in her school community. She is co-president of the Drama Club, a peer point tutor, a member of the leadership team, one of the secretaries of the Turtle National Honor Society, and the student conductor of the TMHS Modern Music Ensemble. As a leader of this group, she has performed as many community events such as Thompson Community Day and the Martin Luther King Breakfast in Putnam, as well as for hospice patients and veterans. Outside of school, Hallie is a summer camp counselor and proudly volunteers after school at the Thompson Public Library. She is an avid reader and writer, having written several short stories and novels. Also, Hallie is currently rehearsing in the role of Dorothy, which you play in. Regarding her motivation, Hallie says, "I tend to be motivated when I think about my future. I try my best to focus on what I want to accomplish with my life. That way, I'm aiming for a bigger goal with every aspect of my life. My friends and family also extremely motivate me." Of her plans for the future, Hallie says, "I'm continuing my education at Plymouth State University this fall to study elementary education and creative writing. I also plan to be connected with music and theater once I leave Turtle Rock." Hallie's message to her school community is, "Try your hardest even when you feel like possibly can't try anymore. Challenging yourself is how you grow." Oh, I don't look good for photo. You can take it.
I just got out of practice. I'm good.
You don't want to be in it?
I'm good.
You're the redhead?
I know, but I look all sweaty for practice. I'm
How about you?
sorry.
How about with the superintendent?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
really
yes. I look gross right now.
Come on.
Oh, please be prepared for a photo.
I'm sorry.
You like to do pictures?
I'd be honored to be in a picture with you.
Absolutely.
She's on the side.
And
I'm gonna take a few, okay?
I'm gonna go outside in the mud.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alright, so going to the rest of the report, we have some upcoming events. April 10th, which is Wednesday on the half day, we have an early release in high school integrity class, as well as the Eastern Connecticut Student Leader Summit, which I will be taking a part of. I have to talk about student voice, so I have 2 workshops for that. April 11th and the 13th is the CMEA conference and all-state concert. And then April 23rd and 24th is the SAT makeup for grade 11, which SATs are actually tomorrow, so that's where I'll be for the first morning. April 24th is the high school NHS induction in the auditorium at 6 o'clock. April 25th is the NGSS science testing for my grade. I'll also be taking part of it. April 30th is the, I don't know how to say this, something field trip.
I don't really know about that. Ms. Baker, you know about that?
What, read the words around it in context?
The field trip?
Oh,
Yeah.
Sir Optimist.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh.
know about that one when she told me.
I'll
about
just
it.
pop in on this. This is, I believe, our 4th year participating in the Sir Optimist event. Jenna LaFlamme, on her first year when she joined us, was just so excited about getting young ladies involved in this very empowering workshop that draws in from all across Connecticut at Eastern Connecticut State University. In order to afford the trip with transportation as well as providing network opportunities inter-district, we share the bus with Killingly, giving our girls an opportunity to network with other girls who are looking to take charge of their lives. 1 year with the snow last year, we were unable to attend. We had to cancel school, but it was so important to Jenna that we actually brought Sir Optimist to us, and we had 2 other schools join us here. So we're really excited to be doing this again. She had filled all but 2 spots within 24 hours of announcing the opportunity. So she actually, first year with a waiting list.
And then May 1st, we had the commitment day photo for students and staff. May 6th is the AP Government and Politics exam. May 9th is the high school formal spring concert in auditorium at 6:30. And then May 10th is the AP History exam. And then May 13th is AP Biology exam. And then we have 2 student voice forums this month. One was about the Spanish and foreign language here at TMHS, and just to summarize all that, Ms. Candy said that we only have Spanish for everyone, and you can take up to 3 years for colleges, and at VHS we only have about 2, I think, that you can take for 3 years for colleges, and that the students would like the Board of Education to know that there's a strong interest in increasing foreign languages offerings at the high school to at least 2 languages that students could take for 3 years, so that colleges get approve of them. And then we also have limited lunchtime and only 1 microwave in the cafeteria. And I know some students discussed this with Ms. Baker about changing the lunch schedule so that we would have 2 waves and longer lunch periods for people to eat people are in line. And they also said that we would get another microwave, which is in play, and we've had since March 27th. So now we have 2 microwaves, but they're going to talk with Ms. Baker about further changes with the scheduling for lunches. And that's all I got this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any questions for Emily?
I'd like to add that when, after the students met with me about some of their concerns regarding having enough time to eat, with the microwave being the first obstacle that we could probably overcome, it was absolutely met with instantaneous support, and immediately the next day, Mrs. Duran was able to put in a second one. I know that you're here, Lisa. Thank you very much. The students were so excited to know that their voices were heard and that we were able to meet their requests. So thank you.
If I could interrupt for just 1 second, I apologize if I missed my cue, but I am also with the National Honor Society, and we have invitations to invite you to our induction in April. So I'll just pass these out. We would love it if you guys could attend. If not, we understand.
Melody, I'm sure you don't want to stay here for the... I'm sure you've had a lot of long nights lately.
Yes.
but
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. and
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you too.
She says that every month, Tom.
I know.
I have 4 hours of testing
We'll
tomorrow.
come up with a new line.
I'm not too happy with
Yeah,
that.
right.
Good luck, Emily.
Bye, Mike.
Thank you, bye then.
Okay. Talk about graduation first, or you want to do the new one?
I'd say graduation first.
Let's talk about graduation first, so that we can move that one along.
All right, so let's go back to last year, when the graduation date was set at the beginning of the school year. What ended up happening with the 12 snow days was that we had a date that didn't meet the 900 instructional hours. Anything you know about MSC rules, right? So, you have to make sure Bob and I sign off on a document for the state that we have met the criteria of 900 instructional hours. So this year we decided that we would wait until this April meeting to discuss the graduation date. And so to adhere to those 900 instructional hours, we went as close to the end of school, and we didn't know until the bad weather stopped, that right now our last day of school is June 13th. So we originally selected June 12th as our graduation date. Primarily, and after tonight, I have to give the green light to Project Graduation, who are waiting for that date because they hold a big event for our seniors, as you well know, after graduation. So we planned on holding move-up day for the 8th graders on June 13th. June 13th, I find out most recently, is a half day for teachers. So the 8th grade team requested that we not, contractually it's a half day for teachers, so they requested could they do move-up day on June 11th. And I don't have an issue with that. And now you have a discussion here on the table as to whether or not to move the graduation date. I feel for you because I don't know what I would do in that case where you're torn between, you know, your children. So we can consider graduating on June 11th for the high school, and then doing move-up day on June 12th for the 8th grade. The thing is that the students, the high school students last year had 4 unexcused absences. The seniors had to, if they went with the Project Graduation crowd, they had 4 unexcused absence. There will be an unexcused absence on June 12th for those seniors. So that's the other thing.
How close we coming to the 900 hours?
So that's the day. They would just have to take an unexcused absence on, and I don't think that was a big problem for anyone last year. I didn't hear one peep out of anyone that took an unexcused absence. So if they graduated on the 11th, and move-up day would be for 8th grade on the 12th.
Can I ask, why not the 13th? We'll
It's
just
a half
graduate on
Because
the
it's a half day for teachers,
Okay,
contractually.
okay, why can't we graduate, we graduate at night?
I
Why
understand
can't we
that.
just graduate on the last
But
day of
it's,
school?
but it's the same situation as the 8th grade teachers who asked that their time end at noontime on that date, so they wanted to end their school.
I understand that, but we graduate at night.
So they're coming back.
What difference does it make
anyway.
if we end at noon or we end at 3? We graduate at night. I mean, I can understand because moving up ceremony is like usually during the day, the
No.
8th grade.
It's at night.
No, we
It's
do
at
that.
night.
Oh, that's right, the 8th grade one is
All
at
the
night.
others are, the 4th is
So-
during the day.
I mean, I just don't understand what difference it makes, since it's a nighttime event, whether it's a half day or not.
I don't know either. All I'm just saying is if we want to switch the date, seniors would have to take an unexcused absence.
Not if we switch it to the 13th.
Because we had
Okay.
graduation
Okay.
on the 13th.
I mean, we've had this debate year in and year out about,
Well, this is a very unusual situation.
Right.
We've never had to try to graduate on a half day before, okay? So.
no, but we've had the discussion about having graduation sometimes 2 or 3 days after the last day of school, remember?
Yeah.
We've had that talk, and it always comes back to, you know, asking teachers to come back. Again, end of the day,
Did you
they're
already
coming
have,
at night.
did you already have the discussion with the middle school teachers, you know, like, to discuss?
The middle school teachers just didn't want to do the very same thing that we are talking about here, because they didn't want to have to come back at night after dismissing at noontime. That was a request. You know, we can honor it or not honor it.
Well,
But you already told them that you'd switch it, right?
I told them I would consider switching it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you already told them.
No, I said we would consider it, we'd talk about it tonight, so,
All right, so if we flip-flop those and graduated the high school on the 11th and the 8th grade moving up on the 12th, the seniors would have to take an unexcused absence?
no, I don't want that. I don't want that.
I'm just,
I'm
this
tired
is-
of
Well,
this
I'm
argument
just
every
telling
year.
you, I don't want it.
Yeah. I honestly tired of this every year, where, is it about the kids or is it not about the kids? We have this discussion every single year,
Really.
okay?
I think-
We're saying that we should give, you know, the students an unexcused absence on their record so that somebody doesn't have to come back a few hours later.
The high school, let me just put this on the table, the high school teachers have not requested that, okay? Just let you know
Well,
that
right,
there's
but
more
this
of a
whole
discussion.
controversy, that's what's
Yeah.
creating
Yeah.
it, is, and it happens every single year. At least since I've been on the board.
And we can certainly, the move-up day can stay on the 11th, and you could put high school graduation on the 13th.
Yes, I'd like to see that.
Thoughts?
Megan?
Let me talk to the board first. Thoughts?
I'm okay. I mean, there's always been an issue with middle school graduating before our high school, but,
Right.
you know, I don't know what you do in this situation. I mean,
Move up on the 14th.
I'll just throw this out there. With project graduation, you know, the 13th is what, a Thursday?
Thursday.
It's typically cheaper to travel during the week. I'm just throwing it out there.
I know.
And, you know, I don't see a problem with keeping, you know, have move up on the 12th, and, you know, the seniors graduating on the 11th. That's just me.
Linda,
Either day is fine with me.
what either day?
The 11th or the 13th.
11th or 13th?
I'm the same either way, 11th or 13th.
Megan?
As of 3 o'clock on the 13th, teachers' contracts are done. To have them come back that night is beyond their contract.
I think, can I just say one thing?
As long as it's nice.
It's 10.
I understand that there's contracts, but I think it's gonna put a lot of ill will with our taxpayers, just saying.
We need to come up with a system that is in place and we deal with it every year. I don't care if it has to involve the next union negotiating contract. I just, this is absurd every year that we're having this discussion.
Either we're here for the students or we're not here
Right,
for the
we're
students.
trying to do what's
That's my
best for the
point.
kids and
I think it's ridiculous.
everything else we do. And then come graduation time, that goes out the window every single year.
I mean,
So-
how many schools graduate on Saturdays and Sundays?
Right.
Every,
Right.
almost every school around us
And that could have
graduates on
solved our
Saturday or
problem about-
Sunday.
And that has been a huge topic of discussion in the past, because a lot of parents, a lot of grandparents, a lot of family members
That's right.
can't come. You know, we open up our gym, we open our auditorium for have enough room for everybody, but yet we're still excluding members of our community from seeing their family members, you know,
Right.
graduate. And I mean, I don't know, I couldn't be in that position where I wouldn't know, I don't think I could choose, making me wanna, sorry. It's a sensitive thing.
If I may say, to have the graduation for the high school on the 11th is certainly an improvement from the 4 days of truant, of absences that we had to register last year.
Yeah.
To register one would be a significant improvement.
Well, yeah, and if we had to do a half a day, that would be even better. But that's not solving the problem that we have every year.
No, and I think it goes back to what you said, Sean, about having that as a topic in the next negotiation go around.
I mean, it's,
Yeah,
it's,
I'd like to see everybody graduate on the 3rd Saturday or Sunday
Right.
in June, period, end of story, that's when we graduate.
we never have to
And it
worry about
becomes a
snow days.
tradition.
Right, we never have to worry about snow days, we don't have to worry about any of that.
And you've got your 900 hours, you've got enough to have 185 days after the first start day of school, and it becomes a tradition.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So we start that this year?
I don't know. I don't know where to start. I find it hard to believe that teachers won't come back, but I can't expect them to all to come back.
Well,
But after all, most of them seeing these students for 12 years or more,
yeah.
and then they're not gonna show up because their contract is up?
That's
I
what I've
think,
said.
Right at you. Teach preschool.
I think the majority will show up.
That's what I've said for years.
Yeah, I think the majority will show up.
Right, you know, I just think the fact that this comes up, to me, is just not, it's can't stand it.
Right.
So let's take that in buckets. Let's address the other issues later.
Right,
Let's
right
at
now
least
we
just-
need to
let's set the
set it for
dates
this
and we'll
year.
deal with the other issues after.
And that, we know
Yeah,
that
I
Ellis
know.
has
the
theirs
issue.
on the 12th, I think it
Gotta
would
put
be
it out there.
irresponsible for us to set ours on the 12th.
I
And
agree.
apparently, last time we ran into a conflict, Ellis changed theirs. That's what I'm
So now it's
told.
our turn to change ours.
And you sure you don't have one kid more favorite than the other?
Listen,
Are they all,
That would
are they all
help.
graduating? Let's just.
They are all
right, so,
graduating.
all
we
right, so
won't
do
tell
have the issue.
anybody, you can tell us.
Your grandson's graduating definitely.
I think you were
Yes.
good.
Just making sure.
Well, there's gonna be others in the same position.
No, I know.
Just give
Yeah,
my
of course, of
opinion.
course.
I just think we should flip-flop the 11th and the 12th. It just makes more sense that way, and we don't run into any kind of issues, and we can figure that out as we move forward.
Before,
It's too late in the game to try to make this the 13th, because, and I don't wanna fight that fight. It's not worth
the
it.
excused absences don't go against the seniors with any graduating issues, right?
No, but last year with the 12 snow days put us in a very bad situation because we had set the date. That's
Okay.
why we chose to
So-
wait until now.
Is there any option where us as a board can waive the absentee if there's anyone that has a perfect attendance for so many years?
Oh, sure.
I mean, I don't wanna run into that situation where, I mean, it means a lot to some students, I get it. So if that
But
comes
we've
up,
heard time and time again, they don't count the perfect attendance, so
I know,
don't let it work.
just saying,
All
one of the
right,
things we'll.
so we need to set a date, so somebody make a motion.
I make a motion that we move graduation to Tuesday, June 11th for the high school, and for middle school, it stays on,
No, that's gonna
sorry,
flip-flop.
that has to flip flop.
Graduation on the 11th.
Sorry, graduation on the 11th,
Move up.
move up day is on the 12th.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of those graduation dates, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
And I just want to be really clear that June 12th is a school day for seniors. On the record, it is a school day for seniors. If they come, they come. But we, as teachers, expect them to be there on June 12th.
And the teachers will be here.
Correct.
All right.
Almost
Yeah.
like food, senior
All right,
center.
so the motion passes. You can see all your kids graduating.
Thank you so much, everybody, I really appreciate it. My kids have loved coming to this school since they were in preschool. Mrs. Jones. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Okay, takes care of that. Our NIAC accreditation recognition. Maybe we should make them stay here all
Good
night.
night.
I wouldn't do that. They work with little kids all day.
So the National Association of the Education of the Young Child is a really rigorous accreditation process. I've gone through it myself as principal. I see Principal Beltram is here. It is a year-long self-study of their program. It's kind of like early childhood NEAS. It's that comprehensive, where a team comes out and they actually assess the program. And I want to say that our Mary Fisher received high, very high scores in the accreditation results that we got. I've never seen scores that high, so we invited the teachers who participated in that to really be recognized, because that is outstanding accomplishment. Noveline, I don't know if you want to say anything, but.
I'd love to. This team, it's an incredible team. We're lucky to have Ellen Jones, who has had the experience and the years with this team. And there is a system portfolio, and I am indebted to her for all the work that she does. It couldn't possibly be done by just myself. I don't even know how other principals can do that whole system portfolio, but her expertise is beyond what anybody imagines. And this team truly is a solid team. They work so hard. They have spent hours during their summers, and yes, beyond the school contract days. And they pull together I mean, I could give them some time, pockets of time of a faculty meeting or a professional day, but they still had to do the work, and they went through hundreds and hundreds of all of the indicators. If you saw the book, it's thick, and each one has to be met. And going through that, it is a NEASC for early childhood. And the room, it's every little inch of their rooms, their classrooms, the walls, what's in each bucket. It is so intense what is presented to these people when they come through. I mean, I still will never forget them pulling out the trowels and checking the depth of the wood chips. They measure the space between all the equipment. The fall line has to be perfect. Bill is involved, health is involved, the nursing staff. It's kitchen. It's every department that early childhood touches is scrutinized. And if those indicators are not met, and that's where you lose the points. So, like Melinda said, and I included it in the board packet because I wanted you to see 100%, 100%, and then the day comes and they don't tell you until that day what classrooms they will pick. And so every classroom has to be prepared perfectly. And they're working hours and hours into the night. That frenzy of is it enough? And I'm sure a few of you can attest to, if you're married to any of these people. They're constructing things, they're sending Bill memos, we need this attached to the wall, it's not sturdy enough. It has to be safe, it has to be sturdy, it has to be all child approved. So it just goes on, and that's, then they numbered all of the portfolio, so that in itself was kind of a nightmare to go through. Ellen was just, pulling her hair out, and she says, where's the policy for this, and where's the policy for that? So board policy has to back up all the other pieces. You can't just say, this is happening, you have to have pictures and proof. So it just is an incredible amount of data and proof, and it's outreach to parents, all of that. And it can't be done, there's no short way or quick way to do this. There's no easy way. It has to be done completely over those 5 years. So they're taking a breath right now, and then they will start in for the next, getting ready for the next reaccreditation in 5 years. So it is an ongoing huge project, and they've met it. 3 times that I've been here, one time there was, I will say the administrator at the time didn't quite meet the standards, and they all came together and they got that together for that particular administrator, and they did pass. So three reaccreditations since I've been here in 11 years, and it's an incredible team, and a lot of learning, a lot of on-the-job professional development has happened through this, process. So congratulations from the teaching staff, from the community. I don't know if people understand the level of what you have to accomplish to be nationally accredited. People do look at the website, they do look into it, and when they come, they have mentioned it several times, that they are here because it's a nationally accredited program. So congratulations to all of you.
I just wanted to add to that, the school readiness grant that comes to the town, that's $109,000. You have to be NIAC accredited to even apply for that grant, so it's great that we got it, because
and take it a step further on. If you didn't have the readiness grant, what you get, it's not just the money, but the money affords what?
For school readiness?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, school readiness is a grant that gives, pays tuition for quality preschool slots in accredited programs. So at Mary Fisher, we have 11 half-day slots. excuse me, St. Joe's has 9 full-day slots. So without the accreditation, we could not, these families wouldn't be able to afford tuition to send their kids to school, so.
Awesome. Well, we have a little certificate of appreciation for our teachers that are here. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, I'm gonna bring
for,
everybody up, come on up.
For you.
And one
all
to
right.
present. Yes. Oh, and both of you, both of you.
Maybe you go up.
So everyone out in the list can see.
Thank you.
In fact, why don't we face so people can. This way, so you can share this with the community.
Okay. So our first award is to Tara Brissett.
Congratulations.
And Lynn Poirier. Carolyn. And Lauren. Congratulations. Mary Ellen Jones.
Jones, oh, he's my boss.
Can we thank you
Group
too,
shot.
because Tara just brought up a good point, and the 3 times I've gone through this, we've never received a thank you like this where we've been recognized for it. So it means a lot to us that you're appreciating what we
Group
did.
shot, yeah.
You definitely deserve it. I intimately know what it takes to get that accreditation, and I'm not kidding when I say I've never seen scores like that.
That's great.
On the parade, here we go.
Here.
Bill.
And we appreciate your support too. We went through it this year.
Good job.
I have to see you.
Enrollment update.
So, our enrollment numbers have not changed since last month. Last month, we had a total in-district of 975 students. However, you will see that there was some movement where Mary Fisher gained students and the high school lost some students. And then the backup, Danette, always provides you as to where everybody went and why. And then, of course, you know, taking into consideration all of the other students that the Board of Ed is responsible to educate, kids at QMC, Killingly, BOAG, and then, of course, those in out-of-district placements. So, you know, that number is well over 1,000.
Any questions?
Okay, real quick.
Just one. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I was still doing some math. Go ahead.
Do we know if the one that was homeschooled, do we know if that student came into our school district? Or is that part of a moved out of district?
That I don't know, because very often they don't provide us with that information.
Okay, all right.
That is very difficult to get information on homeschool students.
Yeah, okay.
Sean, do you have something?
No, I'm good.
You good?
Yep, I was looking at it quick and it didn't make sense, but it does now, so I'm
Okay.
good, thank you.
Want to do our best buddies?
So I'd like to invite our new pupil service director up, Christopher Jones. Mr. Jones, I'm sure you've read in his update, has been pretty busy since he's come to district, but this one program he'd like to introduce to the Board of Ed before he introduces it to the district at large.
Can I show the video first? Is that all right?
Of course.
3-minute video.
Welcome. Thank you for joining Best Buddies, a global volunteer movement engaging people just like you to help us change the world. At Best Buddies, our mission is to create opportunities for friendship, leadership, and jobs for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. This video explains what to expect when you join Best Buddies. First, let's look at some important facts. Did you know there are 200 million people in the world with intellectual and developmental disabilities? Students with these disabilities often don't have the same social opportunities. But all students, with and without disabilities, have a lot in common, and we're going to help you form a friendship that could change both of your lives. So, what can you do? To begin, put people first. We all have unique characteristics, but shouldn't be identified by them. No one wants to be known by a feature like glasses girl or short guy. We want to be known as a person first. That's what we do in Best Buddies. So here's how the program works. You will be matched with someone in your school who shares similar interests for a one-year commitment of friendship. We suggest you spend time together twice per month doing things you both enjoy. It's also important that you communicate with each other once a week. This could be by phone, email, text, or in person. Go on group outings with your chapter or some other buddy pairs 4 times a year. The goal of Best Buddies is for you to make a new friend. We want you to share the power of that friendship with your community. And, most of all, we want you to have a lot of fun getting to know each other. Remember that friendships take time and are built on simple things. It's a good idea to talk about time at your first meeting, like when you will talk on the phone, hang out, and see each other. Include your friends and family in some of your outings. Be honest and ask questions. The Best Buddies community is here to support you. And remember that friendships take 2 people who make time for each other. Inclusion, education, equality. These are the goals of the Best Buddies program. When you become a buddy, you are making much more than a commitment to get to know another person. You are helping to make your school and community more inclusive of people with differences. Thank you. And remember, give your friendship time, have lots of fun, and know that you are changing the world with the simple power of friendship.
So, we would like to open up a Best Buddies chapter here in Thompson. We would like to have it at the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. And what we're asking is for everybody to sign on for this pledge. We have banners made that would go in each of the 3 schools. We would ask every student and every teacher to sign it. And we would like to start here with the Board of Ed. If you'd be willing to accept the pledge.
And the pledge is that you support the Best Buddies program.
Right, so basically, as you heard in the video, unity and acceptance, inclusion opportunities for everybody.
And it basically is to match non-disabled peers.
Right, with typical peers.
With students that have disabilities. And I think it's a great program, and I'm glad you're bringing it to Thompson.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I work with the Art of Manchester at where I work. That's my favorite part of my day is bringing me when they come in and they're doing meaningful work. They're happy to see me,
right,
which is unusual, and they're happy to be there, which is even more unusual.
Right.
I think it's a great opportunity, so I'd be happy to sign.
So, every month there'd be a gathering. So elementary, middle, and high school, different dates. And we would pair a typical student with a student with a disability. And they would get together to do some sort of activity together. And then, like you heard in the video, that would also lead to other opportunities, whether it's going to the mall together, a sporting event together, to build on that relationship that they are slowly building. And again, that would carry out and build morale throughout the school, and everybody's included in other opportunities. And also part of my brief would lead to the next part that I want to bring up later.
Okay.
So we have the banners. We thought it would be great if you would all sign it today. We would roll it out to start next school year.
We're Throw it on the table, we'll sign it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is this the Tom Brady one that he's part of?
Right now, if I'm not mistaken, he is the quarterback.
There we go.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably
I noticed the Green Bay Packers type
NFL football. I mean, now,
Is he also greatest of all time?
I think so. I'm curious. I wonder if Aaron Rodgers, he probably isn't involved in Best Buddies at all.
He's doing kind of commercials.
He's probably looking, you know,
Or Geico commercials, whatever it is.
whatever, yeah.
You can't even remember the commercials he's
So
doing.
like Tom Brady helps kids and Aaron Rodgers like, you know, does commercials. It's nice. I mean, just saying. Yes, I know. We got another cheesehead over here.
If you want to sign it now, or if you want to wait till the end,
Do it now.
whatever works.
I'd be happy to.
Maybe you could put
over there.
Maybe one, yeah, over there, because then they'll be dry now.
They want them back here so they'll dry after the
Well, I need the rest of the board up here to do this.
No, you have
We graduated. So right now he's working in the lab, but so we didn't need him. We didn't start out for some work, right? But in the summer,
Did you ever get to take the boat last year? Oh, no, just check.
out of the way. About up to here. So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. So let's do that too. They're flying out last night.
Maybe May 13th.
Oh,
So yeah, my geologist
Because he's in the ball and something such a time for
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I don't, you know, I did something like that, it wasn't like much, yeah, something like that. And now they start getting it all ready. I like the, really? Where?
Hi, Joey. Hi, Jody.
Joe is probably watching too.
Then they're both gonna have to go to each school and sign it on the wall.
We can ask Mr. Jones to bring it back next month and have those.
Sure.
Was that it for you, Mr. Jones?
For that, but then I have a second part in the
Okay.
update.
All right, our next order of business are layoffs. You want to talk to this?
It's just that it is traditional at this time every year that the non-tenured teachers are placed on layoffs as we're waiting for the budget to pass. I will say this, we need every one of them to return to run the district. Last year or the year before, we did wait till like the 11th hour to call a teacher back, and we were watching enrollment numbers. That could very well happen as we're looking at kids coming in to the districts. But my goal, I hope, is that at the June board meeting, we recall all of those teachers.
So I need a motion.
Bill, yeah,
Oh,
I
sorry.
just realized that.
So I didn't realize
When we did it with graduation date.
that. Oh,
Yeah, we weren't down at action.
all right, so it's we'll do that later.
Yeah.
Okay. The middle college partnership.
So, remember last month, we started to talk about the QMC partnership, and what we were surprised to learn when we finally got the actual original agreement was that I think the board and myself were under the impression that we had only a small number of students attending QMC, but we know in our enrollment update that at QMC right now there are 14 students, and actually the cap of students in this partnership agreement could reach 17. And so the discussion was whether or not you have to give 2 years to withdraw from that partnership. And then you have to make a commitment to let all of the students that are currently at QMC graduate out. So you asked me to look into 2 questions. One, do you have to be a partner to send a student to QMC? And the answer is no. So they take students from non-partner districts. And then the second question you asked me was that if we were looking for an alternate school placement for a student who might not, Turtle Rock Memorial High School isn't a good match for that student, and some do go to QMC. EastCon, come to find out, is opening up a new program called Elite Program, and it's Learners Empowered to Achieve Their Potential, but it's an alternative high school for non-traditional learners, and this is going to open up this fall. So this is another option for the board. Their tuition for this program would be fairly competitive to the QMC tuition. So there are other options out there, and that's what you asked me to research. Were there other options? So the answer is yes. So the decision, and I don't know if you're going to make that decision tonight, but do we want to inform QMC that we intend to withdraw, and then with the same motion that at the end of 2 years, we're also going to discontinue transportation.
Okay, so they'll take a non-member student.
Correct.
And they will take one as a placement?
So, yeah, yes.
Because that's basically the same thing.
Correct.
Right, okay. And we have more options with lead now.
Cost?
Please? They haven't come up with the firm, but they said it was gonna be competitive.
No.
At the same
Q-
cost,
QMC.
yes.
So,
Yes.
in other words, there's
So we got
zero
nothing on
benefit
those.
to being a member, so.
Yeah. All right, I'm all in favor of pulling out of that partnership. I don't know how you feel. We'll vote on it later, but, you know, we have 14 students, we can go up to 17, and I guarantee within a couple of years, they're gonna go up to 25, so.
Right.
It's just draining our high school. But I like that we have an option.
Yeah, exactly.
That if it doesn't work here,
Yeah.
we can use that as a sending school.
The concern is this year there is a motion before the governing board to raise the tuition per student $250. Beyond that, we have no control of the tuition increases.
So, how many students we have there now? We have 14. How many are like freshmen? Do we know how that's broken down?
No, we could get that.
Well, only because if we pull out,
It's gonna take us.
it's gonna take us 4 years to be totally out, but if there's no freshmen this year, then we'll be out in 3 years, you know what I mean?
And if there's no sophomores, we're out too.
Right,
Two is the
right.
minimum,
That's
right?
just for information, that's all.
Okay.
Once we said.
Is the new program, the LEAP program, does it offer the same type of, courses and the same type of,
Well, this is for a different group of students.
Okay.
The QMC program does allow kids to take college courses and segue into QVCC. So that's the benefit of the QMC program. The LEAP program is more for students that need additional wraparound support. And Principal Baker and I actually met with representative from EastCon today to learn a little bit more about that program.
It'd be nice to have one of us there.
Did I hear you correctly that the transportation would stop there in 2 years?
Correct.
So if there are any freshmen or sophomore,
Correct.
then if they go there, they have to have their own transportation.
So any non-partnered thereafter would have to do their own transportation? We wouldn't have anything to do it?
If we decided to place someone
I
there,
was just gonna say, we probably
would we have to transport?
like any other special ed.
Well, but typically that isn't a placement for students with disabilities. We don't usually send students to QMC.
And it's
Well,
not
no,
a
but-
behavioral thing.
Correct.
It's more of non-traditional learning kind of stuff.
I understand that, but if we've chosen to send someone there because we think it's best for them, and it's agreed upon by the family and the whole 9 yards, isn't that still a form of a
So
special
those
ed?
decisions are handled on an individual student basis, and depending on what the circumstances or the discussion is with the family.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we
Exactly.
come to it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll vote on that a little bit later. Interview for legal services.
So as you know, the Board of Ed, and this isn't obviously the decision of the superintendent, but since I've come to Thompson, the fees for legal services per hour have been steadily increasing. And so right now, Shipman and Goodwin charge us $425 an hour for legal services. And that's kind of been just, we don't have a specific contract with them. I think back when the relationship with the Board of Ed and Shipman and Goodwin was established, but we just recently got another increase. So the conversation that I'd like to bring forward is there are other legal firms in the state of Connecticut, other legal firms that could represent the Board of Ed probably as well. And I am bringing it before you to see if you'd like to discuss interviewing some other potential firms and for legal services. It's not binding. You're going to interview them, see if you want to make a shift, and then find out what their fees are as well. So I need your permission when it gets down to action items to go ahead and reach out to some legal firms and ask if they would like to come in and interview and bring their rates with them as well.
Yeah, we had that talk with the, when we were going through the bus contracts, when we were talking with that law firm,
Yeah. We went out for requests for quotes 5 or 6
I was
years
gonna say
ago.
before me, so.
And it was, we talked to a couple other firms, but they were close at the time, but I just think it's good business. And we should do it, as much as I like them, it's expensive.
Yeah. Now, do they, I mean, it might be a dumb question, but when it comes to their hourly rate, do they bill by the minute for a phone conversation, or do they?
Every 15, yes.
They're
Well,
doing 15?
that's all stuff we can ask during an interview.
No, I'm just curious about ship.
Yes, they
Oh,
do.
so,
Every
yeah,
15
they do,
minutes.
yeah.
No, I just didn't know how, okay, now it's 15, it's not like if it's a 5-minute conversation, you're getting whacked 15, fine, I know that now.
Yep.
So damn straight, I'm keeping them on for 15 minutes, even if I got a 5-minute question.
It's $100.
You could talk for 15 minutes straight.
Oh, I'm just saying, I would never have a 5-minute question, I can tell you that.
Can you bank your minutes?
Yeah.
And they do have a legal department, so I mean, for some things, couldn't we call their lawyers and get some advice and?
And we do sometimes.
Oh, okay.
For example, I called there to find out what the process is for, to go out for legal services.
Okay.
And so we need to invite, and then the board gets to select, but to interview several firms in the area. I proposed a date of May 1st. We're looking at all our calendars of, with negotiations, there's hardly any free dates. So May 1st seems to look like a date that nothing's happening that night. So I don't know if you want to set up a subcommittee to interview, or how you want to handle that.
Yeah, we'll do a subcommittee. All right, yeah. Okay, so we'll be talking about that a little bit later. After-school snack update.
So I've asked Lisa Duran and Chris Murphy, you know that they are our food service director and our assistant, to come and talk a little bit about, so we run several after-school programs, especially at the middle school. And in the afternoon, students are hungry, so we have been providing some snack, and Lisa's going to give you an update on that. And then she wants to talk to you a little bit about providing free lunch for students next year at Mary Fisher, similar to started as a pilot, but similar to what we did with the free breakfast, and we know that that more than paid for itself. So she'd like to speak to you about that tonight.
Well, first, the after-school snack program. I've created a menu of snacks that will pay for itself overall. For the free kids, we will get 91 cents per snack. For paid students, it would be 8 cents. So what I've done is created menus where each snack will cost right around 50 cents. So the free kids, who are the majority, we have maybe 10 kids at snack, most of them are free kids. So the reimbursements coming back will be great and help pay for paid and reduced kids that will be joining after-school programs.
So we want to add that to our, our after-school programming, because it's unbelievable that they're starting at that time.
So what's happening is our program cannot absorb these costs. We're told that we cannot absorb these costs. That's why I've done this, so it pays for itself, but you have to agree as the board to say if there was a fee that you would cover it. But
so far,
it's paying for itself.
But, okay, so it's after school.
It's after school.
Do we need somebody from the cafeteria staff to stay here to hand these things out?
No, we've actually been working on it. We've been doing it. And the person that's in charge of whatever program is running, we get everything ready and prepared, and they pass it out to the kids and give me a roster of names, and
Because teachers do that.
so it's all working.
All right.
So these dates, are those the only dates that there's something going on after school?
Right now,
Is that
that's all, the only dates that have been requested are Tuesdays and Thursdays. So as more programs arise, we'll work with them as well.
Yeah, so when Chris has next year, he has his best buddies a couple of times
Yep.
a month.
Any kind of enrichment activity or, it's all covered, so. Okay? Are there any questions?
Is that on our action items?
Yes.
No. It's not.
No.
Okay, so before we go further, could I have a motion to add this to action items?
Why don't we just vote on it?
Well, or we can just
Since
do
we're
it
doing
now.
that tonight.
And screw it all up. Let's try to do it legally.
Let's try to do it right.
JK.
Okay. Motion that we added to action
This
items.
is for snacks After-school snack, right? Before.
Writing all this stuff at once.
Okay. I need a second. I need, this is just to add it to action items.
We get reimbursements for all of these snacks, and the majority are for the free kids, so we get a higher reimbursement that should cover the other ones that aren't.
So all in favor of adding this to action items, letter K, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we can vote on that. Now, free and reduced lunch.
Well, Melinda approached me about this, doing piloting free meals for elementary in the fall. And I just want to verify with Bob where we stand right now.
Oh, boy.
I think we're doing okay. So Bob gave me a spreadsheet as to where we stand right there.
Okay, so it's right there, year to date, is this amount?
Okay, so 56,000 in the black.
Yes.
What's not on here are our last 2 months of reimbursements for July.
No, they are.
They're there?
That's why it's that. See this where it says?
But I'm not seeing them up here.
Because we only paid, we should have this discussion ahead of time.
Yeah. I checked them. This is.
I booked them when they come in. Before they come in, though, they are an account receivable. Okay. So that's what that is right there.
So that's
So
right here?
that's, yep, that's April, that's, you know, what you're expecting to come in April and May
Okay,
is
so
right
this
there.
is where we stand.
Yep,
Okay, so we're actually looking pretty good.
$56,316 year to date in the black.
And that doesn't include our physical inventory of our foods that we have in stock and our paper goods and
That's usually around
10, between 8 and 10.
Okay, and, yeah, but at the end of the year, it's usually somewhere between, looks like it had been $4,500 and $5,000 for the last couple of years.
Okay, so this program would be identical to the breakfast program as far as how it's run. We get reimbursements for the students. The breakfast program's been very, very successful, and our participation has gone up 165%. Yeah.
So what are you suggesting, free lunches?
For elementary, just to pilot elementary to make sure we can do it, and then we can
No,
set a goal.
That's fine, but it
Yeah.
says free and reduced, so there's not gonna be.
No, it's just free.
Reduced, it's
Yeah.
just free.
And
I'm going all right with that.
what did I miss again? I mean, it's not free. Is this a?
We
state
still
or
get
federal?
reimbursements because we follow their guidelines, so if we'll still do applications, so the kids that are approved for free meals will get that reimbursement back. Reduced meals will get that reimbursement back.
But that's federal?
It's federal and state,
It's federal and state?
yeah,
Okay. And
different grants that we get.
how do we feel about state funding? Is that something that we know is gonna be funded?
Just
Today, it's funded today, you never know about next year.
Well, they're gonna pass a budget in the spring. This is something we're talking about doing in the fall.
There's not ever been a reduction in that program.
There's not any discussion of reducing any of I mean, not even when they were behind, when the government had shut down, they're behind the SNAP payments, that wasn't gonna impact the shutdown. They would have ultimately have gotten the money back, no matter what.
So last year, it was last year, we introduced the same concept. 2 years ago, we piloted at Mary Fisher to see if it was gonna pay for itself. It did, and then we extended it to the middle school and high school, and this year it continues to be successful.
Yeah.
So what we'd like to do is, obviously, we have to make sure the parents fill out their free and reduced lunch form, so that would be a criteria. They have to fill out the form, and if they do, whether they qualify or not, we can qualify them for a free lunch. And that will eliminate eventually that discussion of, the non-payment for.
So even if they don't qualify, they're gonna get a free lunch anyway?
Correct.
Yeah. The majority of,
Boy, that's great.
So for students who qualify for free or reduced meals, the reimbursement on that exceeds the cost of the meal that Lisa puts together. So that extra money goes toward those kids who would typically have to pay. And so we did that with the breakfast program. It was successful. And what the board has to vote on is if we went over. But right now, it's not telling us that we have that. And there's other districts that qualify just under poverty. We miss it by a few kids, and we're very close to that poverty rate, but we just miss it by a few.
And if it does go over, the people who don't qualify, we're gonna pay for them.
We can always go back the other way if we need to, but we'll need to cover shortfalls. But if the state and the feds are willing to pay for it, why not?
That's a much bigger discussion.
As crazy as that sounds, why not, yes.
So, I mean, I commend what you guys are doing, phenomenal. But how did we go from one extreme to the next? One year we have to fund things and now we have a surplus. I guess I've missed the in-between, how that happened.
That was good supervision of the lunch program since
which-
I've come in Boston.
Phenomenal.
And Lisa.
But to the good of like from what, 6,000, 8,000 shortfall to now 56,000.
Oh, much
was it
bigger than that.
Well, right, but it was,
Well, that was a different story completely
that was-
over 4 years.
Right.
Right.
But usually on any given year, we're short about $2,000 to $4,000
Correct.
So-
in non-payment.
so is this now more funded from state and fed that's also helping us get into the black?
It's more
Or is it
meal
all
served.
management of cost of goods, et cetera? Or is it all of the above?
You know what, I have a great
It's
assistant
meals served, I
and
would
an
say to
amazing
you.
team.
Like in high school, I went from serving 12 breakfasts, now I'm serving 80.
Yeah.
So now you're putting through 80 breakfasts. Well, if you're free and reduced, because remember, our poverty level is close. So if the kids coming through are free or reduced, your reimbursements that you're getting back, because now everybody's taking it. I mean, before I had 12 kids in high school taking breakfast, I have 80
Right,
now.
my fear is that as we increase more free, whatever we wanna call it, the state's gonna catch on eventually saying, whoa, this is like a windfall for schools.
But you have to do your menu so that it does pay for it. You have to have items
All right,
that
I
are to
just-
choose from, that are, I would say, at lower cost. I don't wanna say that they're, I mean, I have a nice, there's an assortment of 3 different things. And I tend to look at other schools. I look at Putnam, because I do the menus. I look at Putnam, I look at, because they are free. So I kind of look at exactly what they're doing. We can't be serving them something that's gonna cost 3 times.
Right.
It has to be a
Right, but-
cost reduction.
Right, and I understand that, but I'm just saying, the state is very cautious, and I wanna use my words here in a right context. The state is very cautious on whenever there's profitability somewhere else except for in the state's pocket. And if the state is seeing that we're making $56,000, let's just say, and I don't wanna use the word profit, that goes back to the town because we don't make a profit as a school, correct?
That does not go back to the
No, that
town.
stays-
That's
Stays in
their own
isolated
fund.
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah,
Okay,
self-funded.
so that's even worse. And now the profit, excess, is now sitting in your fund, okay? Does that go against us next year when we have to apply for?
It's also paying for
No.
kitchen equipment, remember, that's
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they're a
Well,
business.
right, but I'm also hearing that it's for lunches. Can we use it for capital improvements? Can we use it on CapEx
No.
costs?
No.
Costs?
No, but
It's
you can
just
use
for
it to buy new equipment in the kitchen.
You can't, that's a CapEx.
No.
No,
It
it's
is-
anything for the food service
kitchen-related.
program,
Right,
equipment, whatever we need.
that's the whole
It's
point.
Only
of
for
that
food
fund.
service.
There is-
All right, I just-
There is a little different.
I just don't wanna get in a situation where they start saying, hey,
And
whoa.
this is the federal
profit.
government and the state chipping in money, and
The cafeteria funds their
No,
equipment
no, I
too,
get
remember?
that, but I have never heard the state
Oh, I agree.
continually pay and have an excess for something that they're paying.
Absolutely.
That's my fear.
Primarily a federal program.
And also, I mean, it's a nonprofit organization,
It's from the
per se. You should have at least 3 months of operating costs on hand in case of the government shuts down for a couple of months. But when I first started, like in August, I think in the August meeting, I explained, because we were trying to figure out how much money you folks were going to pay towards the debt, but we ended up with $25,000 less anyway. You should have 3 months of, you're allowed more than 3 months of operating costs on hand, but you should have 3 months. And the $50,000 is still not 3 months of operating costs. In case something happens, like a freezer blows up that you have to replace, or a bunch of compressors, or slow payment for the feds, they decide to drag their feet,
I'm all for it.
So
I
they're not gonna grab the money, that's something that is a.
I'm all for it. I've just never heard the state or the feds giving basically free money for us to use as a rainy day fund.
They're looking at it as feeding kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
That's very-
let's
So
leave-
many
let's
qualifications
leave it there.
though, too, like,
Yeah.
what I will say to you, that
Totally
when
fine.
the state come in, well, they come in to us, and I had to produce all this paperwork, and I had to
All
go
right.
break down, and they, they're delighted to see it going
Yeah,
so
they're
well,
very
they're
happy.
delighted to seeing it go up like that.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah,
As long as there's no red flags, just let it go.
So I've asked this question before, so here's another, we're adding on more work. Do we have enough staff to maintain and to, be able to, provide these students with the breakfast? You know what I mean? Or all the meals that we have? I'm just throwing out there because I keep hearing, we keep adding on and
I'm
adding
going
on,
to say
so
no. We work very hard.
I know
Yeah.
you do, and I
And we lost a
appreciate it.
position that we really, really could use, but understand at this time why we don't have it, but, yeah.
It's
we
something
can-
that maybe
Does
we
that,
should
does
look
that
at.
funding cover
Yeah.
employees?
Yeah, we could pay.
We should look at that now. Sorry.
All right, so that's coming up for a vote
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Any other discussion right now?
Nope.
Good,
I
okay.
have one question.
Yes.
See, Lisa, does everybody fill out one of the applications? Is it a requirement?
It's not a requirement. What is really good is, there's something called direct certification that comes right from the state. And every household that legally has SNAP or temporary assistance for needy families or some foster, some homeless, comes directly to me once a week. I check it, and I get the majority of our students that are on the program come right from the state, so they don't even have to fill out an application. But they're not required. I mean, can we require them to do that? We send it out a few times a year. I make phone calls to see if I can help them fill them out if they're having difficulties, but,
And it's all about eliminating barriers to learning, and having students hungry at any time of the day is a barrier to learning. And if a kid isn't gonna get a lunch because their mother didn't give them money, and we go through this a lot, it's really important that our kids are well fed, and that's like the least of their worries when they're here. And we see that we have more and more children of need, and I think that number will continue to climb. And so I think eventually, maybe in another year, we're gonna qualify under free anyway, just the way things have been going since I've been here. I've only been here almost 2 years, and we've seen from 35% up to high 40s in that short period of time.
it's business. You know, we serve a healthy meal for a certain price, allowing extra to be left, and it just keeps building and feeding and growing.
And you're doing a lot of scratch cooking, which brings down the cost too.
The only thing I'm worried about, as soon as people hear that it's free, why bother filling out that form to get a free lunch? And I'm afraid you're not going to fit those forms in, and then you're not gonna qualify for the number that you need.
Well, that's where the direct certification list I get from the state. I work directly with the state. The majority of our students that are in the program come right from the state. We probably have less than 70 applications that people fill out.
Right, but they're not
Yeah.
reporting 100% of the eligible participants. So I do believe that we gotta keep sending out the forms.
Yeah.
But you're right, there's no,
Yeah.
there's no.
Well, if they're not on that direct certification list, to continue them to get a free lunch, they gotta at least have filled out the form, and then we determine whether or not they're eligible or not. And that we can make that clear to families.
Right. I have a list of families that have not sent in a new application the following school year that I call and follow up and say, look, it's going to expire within so many days. You know, let's do another one to make sure you're still qualified. So there's no interruption in the kids'
Well, Linda has a point. If
service.
it's free for the entire elementary school, You know, what's their motivation for filling out any paperwork?
Well, they have to fill out the paperwork to get the free lunch, whether they qualify or not. I would think that that would have to be a criteria.
As long as you can make that a criteria.
I can maybe look at households that had to do paper applications in elementary and follow up with those families that aren't directly certified to talk about what's happening and.
Whatever you're doing, it seems to be working, so I leave it in your capable hands of getting it done. But I think it's a good idea to do it.
I was just gonna ask, how does Putnam do it, and I think they're maybe following how they
I
do
think
it.
they make them fill it out with the blue, you know, the blue nursing form, and they make it mandatory, so the teacher, like, I wanna say the teachers, when they're collecting those, it was with that, and it was mandatory where they really were on them. You kept track of the nursing form, that was, you're trying to think that was attached. It was attached right to it, so they had to make sure they brought it back in.
They're also, their free and reduced percentages are greater than 40%. And
So
they can do that, they can do free meals to everybody, that's our goal, but we're not quite there.
What's the double check? I mean, is it a tax return? I mean, how do you prove, you have to obviously prove your household income, I would imagine, right?
So, I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day when I was a principal, you had to test a sample, and parents had to
Verification.
provide the backup for that.
We do it every year, it pulls a sample.
What, tax return or whatever it might be?
Yeah, they have to
filing?
show pay stub, and they have to
Yeah.
prove what they showed me on their application. And a few of them have got knocked off.
Well, yeah, I mean, there should be a check and balance, and I'm not saying that a child
there is.
goes without eating, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that, you know, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it.
Okay. All right, so we
You wanna
good
do
with
my
this right now?
checkbook? You manage it.
I'm gonna sleep good someday.
Okay.
Thanks, yeah, thank you.
Bus change form.
So, if you remember, when we amended the transportation policy, and it was really an elementary issue about kids changing buses. So, the leadership team from the high school came to me and asked if there could be a possibility just for high school only, because sometimes at the end of the school day, they're going to each other's house to either work on a project, or for whatever reason, they need to change the bus, and they wanted to make it available, and I'm only asking for permission for the high school only. But to have them be able to board a different bus if there is room on that bus. So we wanted to make an amendment to add this form to the current policy, which would allow kids to, before the bus list, before 10 or 10:30, they have to report transportation on the late bus. We would follow that same time, but a parent would fill out this form and allow a student to go home on another bus, more or less have like an open permission, so that any day they could go on another bus. There is a separate form where the student would actually have to fill out what bus they're going on, so we would have a copy as to what bus they would be on in case of an emergency. But this would give the permission for the school to release a bus pass for that student. And the students are pretty active about really wanting to have this, but we have to get parental permission to allow that to happen at the end of the day. But it would be an amendment to what we already put in place at the beginning of the year. But I recommend it for the high school only.
Yes, questions?
Go ahead.
Liability, is there any? Has this been run past the attorney during one of those 15-minute conversations?
I can run by the attorney during that 15-minute conversation.
You know.
I can do that.
And then the other thing, one of the reasons that we did that policy was the chaos ensuing in the last hour or two of school every day.
Right, they have to report it by, just like the late bus, they have to let the office know by 10 o'clock. If they're riding on the late bus, they would have to let the office know and get a bus pass by 10 o'clock.
Okay, is this something that we can foresee it getting out of hand, where it's rampant, these kids are changing buses every day, and I mean.
Donna will be the first to let us know,
Okay.
and Megan.
And given the fact that half of our students drive.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, as long as it doesn't, I mean, the biggest thing with the other one was it disrupted the school day.
And I wouldn't suggest it for middle school for that very same reason.
Okay.
Is there any, to Sean's point, is there any liability, because this seems like only one way, where it's just saying I
Right.
and my child, it doesn't say where the child's going and a signature from the other parent?
Right.
It's not going to say where the child is going because we want to have an open,
This is like the.
permission slip.
It's a permission slip, don't you listen so good?
No, I know that, but if it's a child that's not driving,
Yeah.
okay? I would wanna know as the parent of the other house, that someone's coming to my house and I've signed off on it. I mean, I'm just saying, is regarding liability, just putting it out there.
Well, we'll double check with the attorneys to see if there's any, but that's the only way to.
I hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
I do
we
too.
can't possibly cover every base.
Well, right, but to that end, we cover our base.
At least we know where that student's going, is what I'm just saying, because God forbid something happens on a bus.
Well, we'll know where they're going, we don't know if they'll be accepted once they get there.
Well, actually, we don't know where they're going.
You don't know where
because
they're
it's
going.
not saying that.
You will,
this
you
is
will.
Yeah, but there's
the
another
bus
form, Tom.
pass.
Okay.
The bus pass will go
You
along
will,
with that.
you will.
We'll keep
You'll
copies.
get a
Going back to the
But,
original, did you
but
not
that's a
listen?
valid point, Bill. While I know you were joking, it's a valid point. As a school district, do we have responsibility that a kid that gets put on our bus, when they get dropped off, they are accepted? Do we have, I don't know, is that something that we are technically responsible for? And that's why I'm saying, just, I mean, check with the professionals.
I don't have the answer, but if there was nobody home at that other house and then they had to walk somewhere,
Yes.
I suppose it could create an issue.
We're always trying to cover our bases.
Let's just cover us,
Make sure we do.
All right, so we'll run it by the attorney just to see what other places.
I can bring it back next month,
Sure.
but the school year will be over. It'll be something we'll probably
Yeah.
implement next year.
Want Sean to call? I'm sure he can use up to
I could use
15
it.
minutes.
It's up to 30.
Everybody just
So
forward your
just a
questions
quick
to me.
question about this. So by 11 AM, does that give the bus coordinator and Dawn, or 10 AM, does that give Donna enough time? or
11.
11, thank you. 11 AM,
We said 10, we said 10.
Yeah, but they said that.
okay.
Oh,
Whatever,
I
whatever.
thought at the middle school it's 10 or 10:30.
But does that give them enough time?
Ask for the late bus. Yes,
Thank you.
it does.
Okay, so we'll,
I'll double check on it,
We'll check on it.
and we're gonna implement it for FY.
right, we don't have to take any action. All right, so let's do our administrative reports, please. Chris, you want to start us off this month?
Yeah, sure. So, kind of to continue with the Best Buddies theme, so we would like to bring forth unified sports to the district. So, unlike Special Olympics, which is just a team of students with disabilities, unified sports like Best Buddies would be a student with a disability playing with a typical peer. And we would have our own team and we would play against other districts. Ever heard of that before? In favor of it?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. So right now, there's 4 sports that they offer. So I was hoping that we could open up with 2. So they have basketball, volleyball, soccer, and track. So if we started with 2 of the 4 to kind of get the program up and running, I think that would be a great way to go, to start. And that's, again, something we would like to start for next school year.
Who would be coordinating all of this?
Who's gonna be the coach, or who's gonna be the
Well,
person?
who's gonna coordinate the whole thing and then find the coaches?
I would coordinate, that would be me.
And he'll be coaching.
If I have to, I'll coach. But I know Spinelli's gonna help me get a coach too.
Of course.
I can find some for myself.
Is it the same certifications
Yes.
as?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, it would be, okay.
Just
Okay. So that's not gonna be easy.
We'll be all right.
Oh, I have no doubt you'll get it
We're gonna
done.
be okay. And, you know, the great part is is when, you know, if we had basketball, let's say we took that for an example, they have what they call a showcase game, where one day you would stop school at the high school level, okay? And everyone would go to the gym to cheer on this event. And you would have your basketball, 5 players on the court, 3 students with disabilities, two typical peers working together for the, you know, the benefit of the team against, let's say, Putnam or Killingly or whomever, and everyone's there cheering them on. And when you see that, it kind of just, it's something that you kind of just really need to see, and it just puts everything back in perspective. I mean, I get testing is important and programs and instruction, but when you see that, again, it's something you need to stop and appreciate.
And what was the statistics you told me about how many high schools in Connecticut?
So 95% of high schools in Connecticut have it.
Wow.
Deb?
Our league sponsors 3 league events with unified sports for the schools that have them in our league. Basketball is 1 tournament, bowling, and a track.
Two questions.
Yes.
Who around does have it? Does Killingly?
Woodstock.
Woodstock does.
Killingly.
Who else?
Woodstock, Killingly, and Plainfield. I'm not sure about Putnam.
Putnam just started it, I'm sorry.
All right.
No.
No.
It's okay. And then, I hate to be the wet blanket, but how does it get paid for?
So they have a stipend or a grant that they could give us for, whether it's part of the coaching stipend, it's part of the uniforms, we could use it as we would like.
You can use some money out of IDEA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have $1,500 to give us to start it.
Okay.
I'm all for it, go for it.
Good.
Go for it.
So there's 2.
I was just gonna say, is that anything we have to take action on?
No, we just did.
Someone better get that attorney on the phone.
Yeah, he's gonna tonight. We're voting whenever.
Took 45 minutes.
Oh, boy.
All right, and then the third point that I put in the brief here, I don't know if you want to take a minute to just kind of read it through. It's slightly complex, and I'd be more than happy to take any questions on it. It's regarding the Bradley Partnership, a satellite Bradley Partnership on the grounds, the campus here at Thompson, an elementary, a middle, and a high school classroom.
I didn't print it. We didn't get that. It got emailed.
Oh, that part I didn't know.
Unless you want to do a full presentation next month, where you can maybe even bring in some of the Bradley folks and have them talk to the board, but.
Did you not get it? This one?
It came via email.
Oh, okay.
It
Not
came
printable.
emails
Not-
this morning, so.
Okay.
So what I'm suggesting is that you can introduce it in your report, and then next month, but primarily what it is to set up a program at each level, and Chris can go into more detail next month about the Bradley Partnership. He's been working on it.
So just in a nutshell, so just looking at the out-of-district number, the transportation cost is really high, sending kids all over the state. So if we had a classroom in the elementary school, 1 in the middle school, 1 in the high school, self-contained model, run by Bradley staff, not our staff, not costing us anything. We get kids back into our system, okay, at a reduced cost because they're in the partnership. So A, we're gonna get a reduced cost. B, we're gonna save money on transportation because they're back on in-district transportation. Then if we partner with some of the surrounding districts and we have those kids come in to this partnership, we would also receive a reduced rate on our students yet again. And it's a win-win for those districts because it's closer proximity for them to send the kids here.
You've had experience with this.
Yes, we built 3 of those in Rhode Island and North Carolina.
Is this something that requires, is it time sensitive that we have to make a decision before next month, or is?
No, No?
So,
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about this.
Sure, no problem.
We've been talking about this for years.
Right.
So what I put in this here is
Yeah.
kind of a breakdown of the cost and the savings per child if you just took one student at a time and you looked at it. Plus, again, getting kids back into district, right? Working with a clinical staff component that the public school does not have. That's a great way to get the kids back with typical peers. And then if there's an issue, they can go right back to Bradley's main hub for another 45-day assessment. Whereas right now, you don't have that bridge. You're here or you're somewhere else. Yes.
Does it stand alone on itself with just Thompson, the savings?
Well, so
Yes.
the savings would be for us, but like I said, so if you took Putnam, for example, and they had a couple of children that they were interested in.
Right, I understand
Yep.
that, but say Putnam doesn't want to participate, or Woodstock or Brooklyn say they don't want to participate, can we, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming there's a cost to having Bradley, I mean, we have to pay for their services for them to come in.
No, so you need to have 6 to 7 students in a classroom for it to be cost effective for Bradley to have their staff in our building.
Okay, all right, that was my question.
So that's why
Would
you-
we fill 6 to 7 students on our own?
No, that's why you would want to partner with some of these
okay,
other.
because
Correct.
I don't know if we could assume that Putnam, Killingly, or surrounding towns would send their students here.
Yeah, no, they would, because I talked to these other directors,
Okay,
and they have
all right.
similar needs, and they're all kind of scrambling as to where the kids are gonna go.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So if you could present that,
No problem.
and, because on our own, I don't think we could make it work.
We can't.
All right.
Just based on the share numbers that we have out, the varying disabilities of those students, it wouldn't work.
That's my question.
Although the middle school, we might be able to.
Yeah, but can you get all those students back right now? Are they set to come back? No.
all right, so day one, no, but long-term, we probably could.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay.
but the goal would be to shift kids over to Bradley, because you have kids, TLC, the Grove School, this facility. Say, let's work here, okay, and then try to funnel them back into the partnership.
So what's the timeline for obviously you get a kickoff date, but timeline to be fully, let's say, sustainable within our own group is how long?
Just Thompson students?
Because I think that's what Kathleen's asked.
No, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is if the other towns don't participate with us,
Yeah,
we would have to sustain it on our own, and we can't.
It doesn't sound like we can.
So it's a no-go.
but long-term, we probably could, correct, is what you're saying?
Over time, we'll be able to. One, I can't give you a timeline,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but you have these other directors that are seeking this need. So I'm saying, okay, I've done a lot of conference calls, seen these other facilities, and it just seems like to me, and I know I'm new, but it seems like I want to bring something here. So they want to come to Thompson. So I'm saying if we host this satellite here, you have the other districts saying, hey, look at the program they have there. And again, it's a win-win. Look at the numbers, the savings are there. And it's a great program that I can only tell you because we ran it.
The only- I think one question though is obviously to kick it off, you need a commitment from these other districts,
Yeah,
correct?
right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I've been talking to these other directors, and
Yep.
before I would ever move forward with anything, I want to make sure that you're all on board,
Right,
obviously.
right.
Then we would sit with Bradley and these other directors. So
Yep.
they're already giving me numbers.
Okay.
This grade, that grade, this grade, so I can say, okay, are we gonna meet the quota of 6 to 7 in these 3 rooms? Yep, we are, no question.
Okay, so I guess,
We get into a contract situation
Well,
with the
that's-
other schools, Putnam and Woodstock and like
What-
Quinnebog Middle School.
The Bradley gets into the partnership.
Yeah,
but
Yeah, so
how,
that contract's through with Bradley.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
how do we ensure that the Thompsons, it's on our own facility, how do we ensure that we have enough slots
We always get priority.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 to 7 is the magic number, okay? So, and again, I have it broken down here so you can see the savings. You take in one, so you looked at one classroom and you took in one student from another district. One of our students is going to be at a savings, it's like $7,200 for that student for the year. And again, that doesn't factor into the transportation costs, okay? Then you go 8 to 14 students in that same room. Maybe you just go over 7, you're at 8, but you took in a student from Killingly. So another one of our students is gonna get another $7,200 off. So now you just saved $14,400 and that transportation.
And transportation. Okay.
Okay,
That's something to explore.
So he's been working on that, and meeting with the other directors. You actually had some commitment from some of the other directors.
Yeah, I have a commitment from 3.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No, it sounds like something worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Do we have an empty room in each of the schools?
Oh, yeah.
to
We got
distribute?
plenty.
Okay.
That's great.
All right,
I like that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, you wanna go next?
Sure. So, first I'd like to thank many of you that read to our kids the other night for bedtime stories. That was lots of fun. And we had a lot of students, they're estimating about 86 plus OLA, plus parents, and that came. So it's always a lot of fun and promotes reading. So I thank you for your time with us. Your granddaughter was adorable too. She was having a good time.
She had a great time.
And without Carol, to have Ellen and Jen kind of jump in and take over the music, and got to showcase their talents. So that was a lot of fun. Carol, speaking of which, she's had a very busy month, not only with the Wizard of Oz, and she's been there every night. When you're putting on a show, someone has to play all the parts all the time. So she's been there rehearsing all the parts, and so no rest. This week she's taking some kids to the Connecticut Music Educators Association. They have a big event coming up, and middle school and high school are sharing a bus, and she has 8 students participating in the honors choir. So in Hartford, and the parents will join to see the final concert. They'll be rehearsing all day and then the concert. Upcoming, I didn't put it in here, but I just got a call from Amy Goldenberg. She is from Mystic Aquarium. We've had a grant with Mystic Aquarium for past 8 years, and Amy's been my contact, and she let me know that the funders for the last 2 years, because the original funders kind of, it was done, she looked for new funding, and she found new funders. So last year and this year, we didn't know who they were, and they're coming to the auditorium on May 1st to present. They have a trainer that's supposed to put on a great program, because part of the grant is the field coast study, the kids visiting Mystic Aquarium, so 3rd and 4th grade going with all expenses paid, which is incredible amount of money, as you can imagine, plus the field coast study with 4th grade, so they return out to Rocky Neck, thinking what Rocky Neck State Park, and they do a whole series of testing the water and different things and going through the tidal pools. So it's a whole program in itself, and that's just the 4th graders. And then part of that grant is to have a careers presentation, and so they have their one of their trainers coming out, and they're going to come out with the funders, and so that should be very nice, because the kids, when they return from these trips, they always write. The 3rd and 4th grade teachers have them do a whole writing piece, and they make pictures on top of what they saw. You know, they put their hand in the tank and felt the eel, whatever they did. You know, and so they send all the pictures and stuff, and they put "Dear Anonymous Donor," and so maybe they decided, maybe they shouldn't be anonymous, maybe the kids would like to see who's attached. So there's two, and they have their own foundations, and so they're all coming up with Amy Goldenberg on May 1st, so.
Great.
A little excitement there, and, you know, the beginning of, you know, April will come with a vacation, and then we're very much on the heels of May, and lots of field trips are coming up. I think, you know, we have quite a list of different, tour of Thompson will be here, and, so it's going to be a very, very exciting spring.
Thank you. Steve?
Okay, last Thursday night, April 4th, from 5 to 7, we had showcase night, where we had students and teachers on hand to display and do various demonstrations of student work, to answer questions and discuss the work with parents and community members that showed up. Very well attended, by the way. And the hit of the evening was the 6th grade wax museum, where the kids came in. I think there were 70 6th graders lined up through the halls with a little sign saying who they were, which character, and they were dressed in that particular character's attire, and they did anywhere from like a 6 to 12 minute monologue of all the historical information about whether it was Rosa Parks, Jackie Robinson, Houdini, you name it, they were all there. And it was amazing the information that these kids were able to share with us. It was very impressive, and people really loved that. The life skills program that we've been talking about for the last couple of months is ready to go. We Chris and I just completed the teacher interviews, and we have a candidate that has accepted the position. She will be ready to go the first week of May. The students have been screened and selected for appropriate placement into the program. The curriculum has been selected. Parents have been, it's been communicated to parents about the program and what their type of program that their kids will be in. So we're looking forward to that, and we expect sometime the first week of May that program will be getting off the ground. SBAC and NEWA testing is going to be coming up when we come back from April vacation. Testing schedules are all set to go, and we'll begin, as I said, the last week of April, and we'll probably run through and be completed by the 3rd week of May. We're also putting the finishing touches on the grade 8 Washington, D.C. trip. That is going to be May 14th to May 17th. There are 48th graders attending. If you saw our recent newsletter, there was a detailed itinerary of all of the historical things that they're going to get to see, both in Philadelphia and in Washington, D.C., so the kids are kind of excited about that. And I think the final meeting to sort of finish it up is May 24th in the cafeteria at 6 o'clock. With respect to athletics, as you know, the last few times we've been here, Deb was, well, not whining, but she was talking about how she didn't have any coaches for the middle school programs, but at the 11th hour a couple of weeks ago, she worked her magic. And we have Bill Gagnon as the baseball coach. 30 boys tried out, 15 made the team. Softball, Kelsey Keefe is the coach with 10 girls trying out. And outdoor track is Melissa Amwal with 24 participants. So Deb, congratulations, pulling that out.
Thanks.
Nice job.
I'm still assisting both of those coaches because they're not certified yet. So I'm covering both of them.
And you're still the cheerleader coach.
That's true.
You're amazing.
She is.
That's why we love you.
It's just getting more and more difficult to find people to do it. And these people are only on temporary certificates. So that means next year they will not be available unless they take the coaching course, which is another $375.
Is that anything that the state's looking into rectifying? Because I hear that from a lot of people.
No.
They're gonna take a week off or whatever?
No, it's not a week.
What is it?
The coaching class?
Yeah, every
It's 45 hours. If you go to Cheshire, they run it like a regular class, like a regular college class where you have to go down once a week. Or the league, the ECC, we run one in March, which is a power class. It goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday all day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, back-to-back weekends. And it's like 5 to 10.
I'm gonna Jay off there talking about it.
So-
It's not a week,
And
it's
it's
in
gonna
the
come out of
evening.
their
It's-
pocket, right?
Okay, before,
Yes, it is.
can we let Steve finish before we start talking about coaches?
Sure.
Thanks, Bill. I did not have it in my packet, but as you all know, I guess it was the first time we've done a transition night for grade 4 coming into the middle school. And that also went pretty well. We were happy that we had about 50 or 60 people show up for that. And that went very well. The 5th grade teachers volunteered to come in and they conducted tours of the school for groups of parents, and we had a question and answer, and went very well. So we were happy with that. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you. We'll get to Deb in minutes. Megan's turn. Megan's turn. And maybe I'll ask Bill after her.
I'd like to make a special congratulations to the cast and crew and sponsors and promoters of The Wizard of Oz. Wonderful to see the musical community come back together. Thank you very much, Mrs. Smith. I know that it's been, people have wanted it to come home, so thank you for making that possible. The show was great. Tomorrow night is Integrity Plus, one of my favorite nights of the year. Pardon me? Wednesday night, sorry, thank you. The week is already running past. And then we will be having our NHS inductions and our award scholarship night, and hold on to your hats because graduation is here. It's right around the corner. This is the part of the year that just absolutely flies by, where I'm recommending that all of our students just take a minute and look around and enjoy everything, because it's gonna fly. So, thank you for your work today, setting the graduation date, and it's all good.
Thank you. Okay, now you can attack Deb if you like.
Yes, sir,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
That was his seat.
Deb, how's things going?
Things are great. The spring season's off to a great start. We
So
got
you got-
coaches,
Now
our
you
coaches
got-
in position. Yes, Thomas, what would you like?
So, the way that it is right now, trying to find coaches.
Yes.
And I feel for you every single year.
But you don't volunteer.
If I wasn't working in East Haven, I would. But, going with that, how do we make it easier? For instance, and I'm glad that Alex is able to assist in coaching this year, okay? So here's a high school graduate from Turtle Memorial High School, went on to play college sports, and now, due to injuries, he can't play again, but now he can give back. But he's on the 1-year waiver.
Right.
So can we get something from the state or somehow, and we offer a course here? And not just for him, I'm just saying, because there's probably parents out there, but you can't give up, whether it's a Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, or 45 hours in the week, in order to get
The
certified.
closest one that we could get, and this was our entire league, all the schools in the northeastern part of the state are having
Yeah.
the same difficulty. The best that we could do was to get that one slot at Norwood Tree Academy in March.
But we can't sponsor
But then-
something on a weekend for like two
You
or
won't
three
get, you won't get the
consecutive.
numbers. They'll only come out if you have a certain numbers. And we usually have, at that ECC coaches thing, we
Yeah.
usually have about 70 people, between 18 schools trying to get people there.
It's an issue, obviously statewide, but it's also not, they don't make it easy.
No, they're not. We had a pool of coaches this big, and when they put all the mandates down,
Right.
the restrictions, it's down to this big. And you're either working third shift or you're a teacher. Otherwise, the hours are just not conducive.
Right, but I think we're missing out on a whole opportunity with
There
other
are people that would like
college.
to do it, they just can't fall within the time frame.
But look at the college students.
Well,
I
we
mean, it
have a
just so
couple already.
happens-
We got your son, we have Evan Ware.
Right, but you're not gonna have him next year, because he's
Well, I'll have
not.
Evan Ware because he did take the 45-hour class.
So, you're saying that they'll only come out for a certain number, but what's the number? And when you say we were only able to get 70 out of the 18 schools, right, but how many could you get if one was held here in Northeast Connecticut? I think is part of what Tom's point is. Would you get 10 people from Thompson, 10 people from Putnam, 10 people from Killenly, who had no intentions to go down there, but they would have done it if it was closer?
Well, I can reach out to Fred Balsamo, but the league has gone through that whole process. And that'd probably have to be something that I would have to get sanctioned by the league, because it's almost like undercutting what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but what they're trying to do isn't working.
Right.
Well, it is for them.
No, it is for them, but-
Right.
And that's always the case.
But could they send somebody up here?
I don't know, I'd have
And
to
even if it's $375, even if it was $410 now, because it's a smaller group, you know, and do these people have to pay for this themselves, or do we pay for it?
They pay for
They
themselves.
themselves.
However, a couple of kids that are college kids that have taken the course, they've taken it and they prove the documentation that they've done it. In order to secure them for 2 seasons, we turn around and reimburse them for that because they were in college. Evan Ware being one of them.
Well, we
So,
should reimburse all of them.
How long is a certification good for once they do it?
5 years, and then within the 5 years, they have to have 15 coaching CEUs to have a renewal.
So-
They send their renewal in, and they get audited, they have to prove that they have the 15 coaching modules, otherwise, they do not reissue their.
How many CUs do you get for one coaching season? Or is it, each one is one?
You have to take classes within those 5 years.
Gotcha,
And they're
okay.
each worth 3 CEUs. So you need basically 5 courses in 5 years. And some of those are online.
See, it's not easy.
No, I'm
You know,
not saying it's easy, but if we could get
Yeah.
them to come up here and hold a class, and if we can reimburse people that wanna work here, that make a commitment here.
Right.
I'd go along with that.
You also have to worry about them making a commitment here for a couple of years to get your money back, because we could certify them here and pay for them, and then they go to Putnam or Killingly and make more money.
So I think that's part of our stipulation.
But that happens with teachers, it
Right.
happens with bus drivers, it happens with everybody, so that's a chance we take, but just to get somebody here, I don't know. Anyway, that's a bigger, longer discussion. Go ahead.
Yeah, who did this? Is this the CIAC? Is it, like, who made it so stupidly ridiculous to get coaches?
Well, if you want, there was I don't know if it was a senator or a House of Representative from the northwestern corner, and they wanted to get rid of a coach. And there was a personal vendetta, and anyway, he introduced a bill into the House, and the
Okay.
House went, and in order to, it was a whole process about trying to get rid of that coach.
So this is a state of Connecticut
Yes.
legislature?
Yes, it's a mandate.
What a surprise.
Sounds like
Hartford screwed something else up.
Well, then you can talk to May and get it fixed.
Just to let you know what you have to go through, just to get a temporary, which is only good for a year. You have to take the mandated reporter, you have to take the concussion module, $50. You have to take first aid and CPR course with AED, which is $75. You have to pay for your fingerprints, which is another $48. You have to have a transcript and,
Corey check.
what's that?
You have to have a Corey check.
That goes with your,
She said-
we don't
Well,
pay for that.
sorry,
but
right.
But that goes with the
And let
fingerprint.
me guess.
So
all
you're
that
in-
money goes
you're
to the
already
state to pay for
out.
roads.
You're out about $200 before you, for a temporary, it's only good.
For 1 year.
For 1 year, forever. You can't.
Unfortunately,
you can't
Alex had
renew it.
some of that because he was certified for reffing. But
Right.
if you didn't, that's another $200 right out of your pocket for 1 year, trying to help out.
So we've done the best we can to help these kids that want to come back, to try to entice them to stay.
Okay.
On another note, we do have some issues with numbers for some of our teams. First being cross-country in the fall. We have 2 boys and 1 girl. Putnam's also in the same predicament. So we had a league meeting last Thursday, and the league is supporting, if we decide to pursue it, to co-op with Putnam. So he's looking with his superintendent and going through his numbers. I already know what my numbers are. I've already talked to Melinda, so that we can actually have 2 scoring teams. So otherwise, we're sending a bus with 3 kids to go run for personal best times, really. They're not gonna have any, not team scoring. Our boys' soccer numbers right now, I think, are about 9. However, Putnam says he has 20. So Putnam, I think, we're not gonna be able to co-op with them for soccer. I'm gonna have to just beat the bushes and try to find at least 14 kids. The girls, I thought we were gonna be in trouble, but right now it looks like we have 20. Basketball should be okay. Then we get to spring season, just so you know, spring season golf is gonna be really a problem. After Jared graduates this year, we're gonna lose 1 to Woodstock, and then we've got 2 girls and 1 boy left after that, 1 which is a senior. So And depending on what my softball numbers look like next year, that could be also an issue. So I need from you guys, as a board, if you are in favor of me pursuing the co-op for cross-country for the fall, because if we do that, the application has to be in by May 1st. So I need an okay from you if you guys are all for that.
So I'm assuming that would be like, what did we do this year? Didn't we do gymnastics?
Yes. Gymnastics, right. And we also co-op football.
Well, no, but I'm saying, we did the gymnastics this year because it was a special, like, didn't we have one girl this year?
Right,
that wanted
and she
to
does
go?
all her own transportation.
And we just added that.
So there was no transportation and no cost involved for that. With the co-op, I've offered to be the host school, so Putnam would have to send their kids over here. If it happens to be that Putnam does it, well, we would just stick our kids on the football bus. When we go pick up the Putnam football kids, we just dump off the cross-country kids, and then Putnam would have to bus them wherever they were going. We haven't gone through that whole part yet. We first have to get application and approval done.
Okay, so let's add another action item. So I need a motion for letter L, co-op sport. Sean?
I'll second it.
Tommy, any other discussion? All in favor of adding it as an action item, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. That's it?
That's it.
All right. William, how are you?
Good, how are you? So we'll start with the 2014 oil spill. We have scheduled a mediation in Hartford next Wednesday. They hope will come some settlement out of that to get some money back for the town for the $1 million that we've spent on that. The lighting project we've been working on, we got finalized word today that the financing's been accepted at 0%. We got $31,000 in incentive from Eversource for a $95,000 project to replace all the exterior lighting on the campus to LEDs. We could potentially save maybe $10,000 a year on electric costs. The current oil tank project, we still do not have approval from the state yet for this project. I was working with the architect today. They apparently had a fire in their office last Wednesday. At least that's what he told me. I haven't seen it on the news yet, but that's what they said. Last Wednesday they had a fire in their office. I'm waiting for some answers back from them. I think we've got all the T's crossed and I's dotted this time. But now I sent 2 emails today to Department of Administration, and one of the gentlemen is out until next Monday, and the other one did not answer. So we are at least, I'm gonna say, another week out before we can make that appointment. In the meanwhile, I personally am getting a little concerned about the schedule. One of those things, the time one, could be getting short. So I asked the architect today to put out some unofficial feelers, because we are planning to take a contractor off the state bid list so that we don't have to go to public bid. Put some feelers out, see if some of his preferred contractors, what they are feeling their schedule is for the summer, whether or not they think they're gonna be able to pull this off or not. So I hope to get some answers back on that. And I think since I was the last one, if it's all right with you, we can move right into the next one.
That's why I made you last.
I knew it. So, most of you probably remember that before Christmas last year, they came out, the Department of Homeland Security came out with a notification that they were gonna issue a 4th round of school security grant money. So, we went through the process, we filled out the application, we put forward a robust project to the tune of about $515,000. It included ballistic window film for all first floor windows, which is like 98% of the glass in the campus. There was a few cameras that had been cut from previous projects that we added to that. We put in some identification readers for all the schools that kind of do an instant background check when you run your license through them. And we added security gates at all of the campus entrances that we could close electronically, remotely. In the event that there was an emergency on the campus, one of the major concerns is that if something happens up here, the roads get clogged really fast, the driveways get blocked, and the first responders can't even get up the hill. So the application had to go in the very end of December. About 3 weeks ago, I got a phone call from Homeland Security. They said they had reviewed the project, they thought it was a great project, they were all behind it. However, Homeland Security only had so many crumbs left in the cookie jar, and our project was kind of robust, but Department of Administration had agreed to take some of the bigger projects and fund them through their office. So then last week I got the first phone call from administration. They thought it was a good project and just asked if it was all new work or if it was stuff that was already done we were looking to get reimbursed from. I told them it was all new work. They called me back again last week and said that they agreed, they thought it was a good project, and they would be more than happy to fund it at 68.75%. However, it now becomes a Department of Administration project, which means we have to follow all of the steps and criteria of a school construction grant project. And it's fiscal year 19 money, so it all needs to be completed by June 30th.
Of this year?
Of this year. So,
Other state rates.
just just for all of you that don't quite,
The grant has to be awarded by then, right?
Correct.
Yes.
not the work. The work doesn't have to be
okay.
done, but the grant has to be awarded.
All right, I misinterpreted. I thought the work had to be done.
No, I'm sorry, Tom, the grant has to be awarded. So, to put it in perspective, this oil tank project, we started in January of last year. The grant hasn't been awarded yet. But I think we're wiser now. The state had some hiccups because they put in a new system. We had some hiccups along the way, but it's not impossible that we could get this done in that time frame. But these are the steps that would need to happen, and they need to happen right the first time because there's no time left to go back. So the Board of Education has to pass a resolution asking the Board of Selectmen to move forward. The Board of Selectmen then have to pass 3 very distinct resolutions, and they have to agree to fund at least the schematic drawings and the cost estimates. Then the town has to go to referendum and agree to fund the project. And then after all that is done and accomplished, then we can file the application for the grant.
Your last date is June what?
June 30th.
What's the legal, you have to put a referendum how far out in advance? Isn't it 6 to 8 weeks?
No.
I thought there was a legal time
There
frame.
is, but it's not that long.
It's not that long.
It's not that long?
It's not that bad.
No,
We
it's
have a,
like
we have a
14
vote,
days
we have
or
a vote
something.
coming up.
So is this doable
But I don't know if
time-wise?
we can tack on to that.
Bill, is this doable just time-wise?
Theoretically, yeah.
Right.
When's the next selectmen's meeting?
Next.
Tuesday.
'Cause I mean, if we decide that that's something we're gonna move forward with, we would wanna get onto their agenda for the next meeting, right? Otherwise, you're looking at May.
All right, so we need to send a resolution to the Board of Selectmen, so I want to add an action item, M, to send a resolution, so could I have a motion to add another action item?
I'll make a motion to have the
Thank you,
action item.
Kathleen. And Val, thank you. Now, this is just to add an action item to send a resolution to the Board of Selectmen. So all those in favor of letter M, please say aye.
Aye. All in favor of sleeping over? Aye. I'll just leave for East Haven in the morning.
Oh,
right
no,
from
it's
here.
9 o'clock, we have to adjourn the meeting.
We might have that on here anyway.
The Board of Finance.
Is letter G here, possible action regarding school security review? Is that what
I
we were
think
just
that's it.
talking about?
Yeah.
All right, so I don't need, so let's
Oh,
just.
cancel that motion.
Cancel
So-
them.
Cancel that one.
Let's
Got
rescind
15
that
minutes
last
back.
motion.
Okay, I rescind my motion.
All right, so.
Val will take
I
that.
will
To an
take
hour
it
on that, by the way.
This is a really
Aw, you thought you got
thank
something
you.
cool there, didn't you?
All right,
All right,
okay.
let's
Is
get
that
the
it?
budget cuts.
Was that
That's
it?
it.
Field? Thank you, Bill. All right,
Mr. Chairman, can I
President.
just make one comment?
yeah.
One thing that I think we skipped over, but I think it just, big round of applause to our seniors this year, whether they're going into the military or college or whatever they're doing. I think this is the largest merit scholarship that I've ever seen, almost 1.3 million, which is huge.
Yes, it is.
Terrific.
So, I just didn't want that to go without notice. Plus Anna Maria, my alma mater, second on the list with the most attendees. That's awesome.
Second, Stonehill, my alma.
Well, being on the board of directors of Anna Maria College, it's awesome to see 8 students going there, so it's
And then,
great.
of course, you come.
Excellent. Okay, the next one was E, a discussion of possible budget cuts. Well, the Board of Finance has not made budget cuts yet,
Yeah.
but they are talking about cutting us $250,000 minimum. Now, I don't know how they came to that number without discussing it at a meeting, so that makes one suspicious that they're having meetings behind closed doors, but I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But we do need a turnout at this Board of Finance this Thursday, because this week is when they're going to suggest something.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
seeing how this is being filmed also, I think there's some other behind-the-scenes conversations going on from town employees with Board of Finance members about increasing that cut. And I think that should be brought to light. I don't think that that's appropriate. I think it's underhanded, and I also think it's backstabbing against the way that our town system should work. Just my own opinion. Tom Angelo, 640 Fabian Road.
Okay, well, if there's an FOI complaint coming, well, then we can talk about that in the future, but it just doesn't seem right. Now, Accepting the minutes, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain?
I did.
Okay. Teacher layoffs. We unfortunately do this every year. Could I have a motion to proceed with teacher layoffs?
I make a motion.
Donna, could I have a second, please? Kathleen? Any further discussion on this? All those in favor of doing the teacher layoffs, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain? Quinnebog Middle College Partnership.
Make a motion that we
Dissolve.
that we dissolve our partnership and we
According to the
charter or whatever it is.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's all we need to say at this
Okay.
point. Could I have a second on that?
I'll second.
What he said.
Okay,
Yeah.
second.
I thought we were gonna wait and see what the numbers were, how many freshmen and sophomore, and things like that before we did.
I don't think.
No,
Well,
because,
no,
well,
it
we're
doesn't
still
matter.
responsible for them. Even if we have freshmen and sophomores, we're responsible for them for 4 years. But we need to give them 2 years' notice to dissolve this.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it, so, all those in favor of the motion of dissolving the partnership with QMC, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain? That passes. Graduation dates, we already voted. We'll vote again to make it legal. We're good.
So graduation date is the 11th?
It's the 11th.
And the move-up date is the 12th?
And move-up is 12th.
Thank you.
Interview for legal services, I don't think we need a motion, but let's instruct the
Right.
superintendent
Right.
to gather information, to get some people to come visit us.
Consensus.
Bus change form, we're going to
Push it.
table that
Yep.
for the legal opinion. Our security review, that is we need to send a resolution to the Board of Selectmen.
So do we need to vote on the
Mr.
resolution?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you have to ask for 3 very specific resolutions to be passed.
And we will. Name them.
Do we, yeah. I was gonna
Okay.
say, Danielle?
That the Board of Education is authorized to apply to Commissioner of Education and to accept or reject a grant for school security projects at Turtle Isle Memorial High School, Thompson Middle School, and Mary R. Fisher Elementary Schools. That's one.
Do we have to vote on these 3 separately, do you know?
No, but when it goes to the Board of Selectmen, the wording of the resolutions.
Okay, when we make the motion, we're going to make the motion as read by Mr. Birch.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So you can finish.
Okay, number 2. The building committee charge is further expanded to include security projects at Turtle Isle Memorial High School, Thompson Middle School, and Mary R. Fisher Elementary School.
Really?
Really? John Rice isn't here, right?
No.
I don't have anything else to do.
Number 3, that the Board of Selectmen for the town of Thompson authorizes at least schematic drawings, outline specifications, and cost estimates for security projects at Turtle Isle Memorial High School, Thompson Middle School, and Mary R. Fisher Elementary School, architect to be chosen from the state bid list.
So does somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we
Send the resolution.
send the resolutions to the selectmen
As read by.
our facilities director.
Okay.
Is that the correct title?
And we have a
Bill
second.
Birch.
Further discussion on this. They're gonna want, I suppose the selectmen are gonna want some kind of a rough cost estimate. Can we do that between now and then? Can you,
We can
Wow,
give them the
yes.
cost estimate that we had initially for, the Homeland Security money. That cost is gonna go up because now we have to hire an architect.
Okay.
But
all right,
we've got something.
they'll wanna know something.
Right, we've got something.
But you got like a week, right?
We already have it.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments? All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain? All right. Cool. Free reduced lunch at the elementary school approval.
Well, it's free lunch, right?
Yeah,
Free.
yes, I'm just reading once again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Free lunch.
FY '20 free lunch at the elementary school. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Kathleen?
One second.
Alana?
As a pilot.
And this is a pilot that we can change at any time, well, after a year anyway. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor of the free lunch approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain? Letter I is a resignation. We have it in our packet. From Tara Shea. Have a motion to approve.
Yeah,
Sean?
I'll second.
Linda? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Retirement, Andrea Krensky. With, well, any
I'll
motion
make a
to,
motion to accept the retirement of Andrea Krensky with
regret? It doesn't say how many years. How many years has it been?
38, she started it's 37.
Your age.
She started in
30, I think.
82,
Wow.
37 years.
That's
And if
her
I could-
only teaching position. This is her
She
only
looks
teaching
way
position.
better.
She has been at the elementary school the entire time. She started in 3rd grade and then went to 1st grade. So I've only known her as a 1st grade teacher. She's an excellent teacher, and I think the teachers here can attest to that. She's just a strong person, a strong teacher, and she will be sorely missed.
So we have a motion by Linda with regret. Actually, who was second? Second by Val. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we did add one, two, yeah, I know, but the one is snack, I can't read my writing. Snacks after school. Have a motion
I make a motion to approve?
to approve as presented?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And we have a second by Linda. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, next one is L Co-op Sports. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we give our athletic director, Deb Spinelli, the right to explore co-op sports for those sports that need, what do you call it? Co-op assistance.
It means co-op then.
Co-oping.
Do you have a second? Second by Sean. Any other
Like I'm speaking so eloquently.
discussion?
So can I ask Deb a question?
Yeah.
Deb, is this historically happening that the school cannot field teams? I mean, is there something contributing to that from your perspective?
It's not just our school.
I know that, I know that.
A lot of the kids are working. They're not willing to take the time to dedicate it to their sport. It's nationwide, it's not just at our school. It's just that we feel the impact more because our student numbers are so small.
You remember when we were all in school, we didn't have a lot of these other programs where, let's say you're playing soccer. There's a lot of travel teams now that play year-round, hockey year-round. I mean, a lot of, you know, softball, you name it, there's travel teams everywhere now. So, it's unfortunate.
We're still discussing.
But for the athletes that we're talking about,
Yeah.
our athletes are not being impacted by that. The cross-country team is not being impacted. There aren't kids doing that. The soccer team, our numbers are low. You think about the 17 boys that are playing football, if we didn't have football, that would make a difference on the.
Correct.
So, when people ask to spread or add the number of sports that we already offer, we can't even field what we have, so we can't
Right.
really expand.
Deb, what's the role, I mean, coming as, you know, a graduate and fierce rival of Putnam. It's blasphemy to say this, but, you know, like, what would the rule be to co-op all sports? To the point that then it would have a JV softball, JV baseball, freshman, you know,
Can't do that.
they don't allow it?
The only way you can co-op is if you have programs that are in dire straits where they don't have the numbers. And the idea is to co-op with another school till that you build up the interest so that you can go back. And there's numbers specific per sport. You have to have 5 or below for cross-country. For soccer, if you have 14 kids or more, you can't go to co-op.
So again, I guess I would ask, who controls that? Because, you know, let's face it, if we're talking about real world, are you in dire straits? If you can't field a JV feeder program, then your program is in dire straits. So who's, I mean, is it the big schools that are, you know, determining that in ECC again, or who's
It has nothing to
controlling
do with
that?
the ECC, it's a CIAC rule in order to help teams, to help schools. Before, they had a co-op system in place, what would happen is schools would just not field any teams, and those kids that were not sports specific would not have a chance to compete. So now by doing this, they hope the numbers improve in each school so that you can become self-sufficient.
Is there ever talk of tweaking the system? Because that sounds like it's exactly what it was when Benny was a freshman, so that's a lifetime ago already. So, I mean, obviously the system's not really working. Because we haven't had a JV program here since, what, the 90s? Baseball and softball?
Easily.
Right. Which means we don't have a feeder program, which means every year we're struggling to just play 500, you know, in those sports. So clearly it's broken. Again.
Well, we're not gonna settle it tonight.
No, but.
I get you.
So do we get a vote?
We have a motion
Okay.
and a second on the floor. I didn't forget it. We got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of the co-op investigation, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Correspondence, I have none. Okay. Old business, I have none.
Grant. Hang on, I'll think of it.
Alliance?
Yes, thank you.
Well, Arnie and I actually went to an Alliance workshop that we were strongly encouraged to attend. So we went on Friday. We did see Desi Nesbitt, who is in charge of Chief Officer of the turnaround office. He said that he understands that our state reps have language in the legislature, and that we should continue to put pressure on our own people.
Did we get at it?
I believe so. And May said that she was working on it. I haven't talked to May or Hayes in the last probably 6 weeks. So I mean, we can certainly reconnect with them this week and see where it's all at, because I have no idea, but that was the only bit of advice I got that day, was to continue to reach out to our local people.
Okay.
We are an unfunded alliance. We're an unfunded alliance district.
For one of two, right?
One of two.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else?
On old business? No.
General.
Citizens' comments. It's late, so you and I had this discussion about curriculum and history and things like that.
Yes.
Bring that up next meeting.
Yeah, let's talk about that next time.
Because that's a discussion I still
Yeah.
want to have.
Citizens' comments. Megan?
Wednesday, we're looking forward to hosting 8 Eastern Connecticut high schools and their leadership teams. Our students, our student leadership team is putting together the Student Leader Summit 2019, looking to become an ECC actual event through the ECC Nation. Cindy Ouellette and Mike Joyce have put quite a bit of energy and effort into this, and it's promising to be a spectacular day.
Excellent. Any other citizens' comments? Board of Ed comments? Tara, Mary Ellen, thank you for teaching here. Thank you for staying all night. Motion to adjourn? Linda and Donna, all in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Thank you all.